Right, so this is the new studio board. Basically, we've got Benson fuzz, temperature controlled, so that the germanium doesn't change the sound of the pedal. Greer Lightspeed, which is just a really great amp-like overdrive. Game Changer Audio Sustainer, the plus pedal. This is a box that's attached to it, and when it's engaged, it kills the guitar signal, which is what you were just hearing. No guitar sounds, just sort of the sustain sounds. Line 6 Echo Park, greatest multi-delay out there. Sold my Capistan when I got this one. The Chase Bliss Audio Blooper, as well as the Chase Bliss Audio Generation Loss. And then we just have the Strymon Deco, which is a bunch of tape sounds, and the Strymon Flint. So, playing a Revelator Telly today. Just probably knocked it out of tune. And into the Fender Princeton, and a little Supro over there. So this board is pretty much comprised of every pedal that I have found I end up using on a session in the past 10 years. Some of these pedals are a little more recent. The Sustainer pedal I decided to take a chance on, was really nervous, turns out I love it. But with that signal chain, there's a lot of really cool things you can do with it. You saw me doing a little bit of it. I can have a loop, I can filter that loop, I can use the tape machine to kind of create little glitchy sounds. We were doing a live beat making show last week, and I had a really short sample on here, and the gen loss wasn't fixed yet, so I had this expression roller in its place. And basically, I was bringing the sample in and out with my foot on the expression roller, and then with my hand, I was doing almost like vinyl scratches on the deco, which is not something I had previously thought to do. But again, with a board like this, where I know each pedal so well, you can get a lot of really creative, fun combinations going on. Let me move this a little bit. Sorry, y'all. The Game Changer Audio Plus. This is, like I said, kind of the new toy. Oh, I forgot to mention, this is an Analog Endeavor's favorite switch. So if I click this, it turns on like 80s mode, which is sort of this long decay. And then over here is just a nice slapback. Now let me turn my volume back on. But that's about it on the board. So, the top is kind of like all the normal things I would use, which as you can see aren't much. I mean, we've got flanger, a little bit of chorus, double tracker, slapback, and some short delays. This is a saturation. Generally, I tend to keep these two always on. So a little bit of plate and a little bit of tape saturation. And then, tremolo, and then this is a fuzz. So between those, I've got all my Americana, folky kind of stuff. Good. And then the bottom section is more the trippy stuff. And then, you can kind of combine them. One thing that's cool too with this generation loss is if you turn off everything that is like tape related and you just bump this saturation, it's actually a distortion pedal. So here's like my normal sound. Now, what's interesting about it is you will get different sort of EQs of that distortion if you still mess with the tape thing. So like, here's one extreme. And then let's find another. So what I like doing is I kind of imitate what like Cornerstone does, where they have that dry. You have the option to blend in your clean signal with the distortion. I set this right here so that it's unity dry, and then you just max out the distortion. I got to keep this down because I do not want to bother my neighbors, but I'll bump it just a little so you can kind of hear more of it. So you get a lot of weirder, more kind of lo-fi, skronky distortions, stuff that doesn't sound good on its own necessarily, but sounds cool in the context of a mix. And that's something I think is really cool about this pedal. Is it's kind of like a secret weapon production tool, I guess, for kind of weirder distortions. And then I can get distortion on this, and I can get distortion on this. So there's essentially, I mean, they're not that different from each other, but there's like 11 different distortions in here, I think, and then one there and one there. One fuzz, one reverb. I've gotten to a point in my musicality where it doesn't really, options are not necessarily what I'm looking for. I'm just looking for sounds that I really like to create with. So this thing is just incredibly fun. Another way I'll commonly use the blooper is for little micro loops. So, I have these modifiers on the bottom here set for reverse and pitch, and then this one kind of just filters it down a little bit so that it's not quite in the way of my guitar playing. So let's say I'm playing something and there's like a little phrase I'm doing and I want to kind of vamp over it. Then you have the option to kind of bring these samples in out of nowhere. Another example could be maybe just a quick kind of stuttery thing. Because I often find myself in situations with bands where maybe there's already a lot of guitar players, or like, the one on Monday, the guy plays a MIDI synth guitar, so he's playing strings and bass and guitar at the same time, plus he has a drum machine, plus there's a drummer. Sometimes I don't necessarily want to just be sitting in this, 1950s through 1970s era of guitar, which is where being able to use these tools as computer-like effects or synth-like effects really comes in handy. Another great thing is the swell mode on the line 6 is essentially just a volume pedal. So now I'm getting no attack, right? Which can be great for slide sounds. It gives you kind of a lap steel-like effect. So that's why I don't have a volume pedal on here, because if I want to simulate the volume pedal, I just use that. If you turn the repeats and the time and the mix down, actually, you might not even have to do that with the repeats and the time. It might be just the mix down. But if you turn everything down, then you don't get any repeats. It's just... So that's pretty useful. And then, you know, this wet thing acts as my kill dry. So where I would use a volume pedal to kind of shut off the sound during a recording session, or if we're on stage and I don't want the noise from my pickups, this will always kill the guitar sound. So applications are endless. I'm still kind of learning it because it's only been aboard for a couple of days, but really digging it.